The controversial legacy of William Rehnquist, 10 scandalous and shocking facts. William Rehnquist, the 16th Chief Justice of the United States, served on the Supreme Court for 33 years, leaving a legacy that was both influential and divisive. His tenure was marked by numerous controversial rulings, personal controversies, and decisions that forever changed American legal and political landscapes. This article explores 10 of the most scandalous, shocking, and fascinating facts about his life and career. Fact number 1. Early life and mysterious background. William Rehnquist was born on October 1, 1924, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, into a family of Swedish descent. His father, William Benjamin Rehnquist, was a salesman, and his mother, Marjorie Peck Rehnquist, was a homemaker who strongly emphasized education and personal responsibility. Rehnquist's early life remains relatively mysterious because of the carefully guarded privacy he maintained throughout his life, leading to speculation about his upbringing and personal experiences. He was an excellent student, graduating at the top of his class from Shorewood High School, which led him to serve in the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. He was deployed as a weather observer in North Africa in 1943, a service that played a role in shaping his disciplined, methodical personality. After the war, Rehnquist took advantage of the GI Bill and attended Stanford University, where he earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees in political science. In 1952, he completed his law degree at Stanford Law School, graduating first in his class, ahead of future Supreme Court colleague Sandra Day O'Connor. Rehnquist was known for his keen intellect and his dedication to conservative principles, which were likely instilled by his parents, who favored traditional values. In 1953, Rehnquist married Natalie Cornell, with whom he had 3 children, Janet, James, and Nancy. Despite his high public profile, Rehnquist remained intensely private about his personal life, fueling rumors about family tensions and difficulties in maintaining a work-life balance. Biographers have often hinted that his personal life was far more complex than his public image suggested, although concrete details remain elusive. Number 2. Controversial voting in the 1960s. During his time as a law clerk for Justice Robert Jackson at the Supreme Court in 1952 to 1953, Rehnquist was involved in a heated debate over civil rights and voting restrictions. According to some reports, Rehnquist supported upholding literacy tests, which were often used to prevent African Americans and other minorities from voting. Although Rehnquist denied these claims during his 1971 confirmation hearings, critics continued to accuse him of holding segregationist views. In a memo allegedly written by Rehnquist, he stated, "It is about time the court faced the fact that the white people of the South don't like the colored people," sparking outrage. While Rehnquist dismissed these allegations as misinterpretations, the incident haunted his career, with opponents frequently questioning his commitment to civil rights. Number 3. The infamous Planned Parenthood versus Casey. One of the most significant cases in Rehnquist's judicial career was Planned Parenthood versus Casey, 1992, which posed a serious challenge to Roe versus Wade. As a staunch conservative, Rehnquist argued that the court should overturn Roe, asserting that the Constitution did not guarantee a right to abortion. Although the court ultimately reaffirmed Roe, Rehnquist's dissent was a critical moment that highlighted his deeply held beliefs on the issue. He wrote, "Roe v. Wade continues to represent the unprincipled decision of an activist court, igniting heated public debates." His steadfast opposition to abortion rights made him a symbol of conservative jurisprudence and intensified his critics' claims that he was trying to impose personal views on national legal precedent. Number 4. Drug addiction allegations. One of the most shocking and lesser-known aspects of Rehnquist's life was his battle with addiction to prescription drugs in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Rehnquist began taking Placidil, a powerful sedative, in 1971 to help with his chronic insomnia. Over time, his dependency on the drug grew, leading to severe withdrawal symptoms when he attempted to stop using it. In 1981, Rehnquist was hospitalized after experiencing hallucinations and paranoia, with reports indicating that he believed the CIA was conspiring against him. His hospitalization, however, was kept a closely guarded secret until years later. The full extent of Rehnquist's addiction only came to light in 2004, when documents were released detailing his dependency on Placidil and the withdrawal-induced hallucinations he suffered during his treatment. Despite these revelations, Rehnquist continued to serve as Chief Justice during this period, raising questions about his capacity to perform his duties. His addiction, however, did not appear to have a lasting impact on his judicial career, though it remains one of the more scandalous chapters in his life. Number 5. The impeachment of Bill Clinton role. In 1999, Rehnquist presided over the impeachment trial of President Bill Clinton in the Senate. As Chief Justice, his role was mostly procedural, yet his presence symbolized the conservative stance many believe would dominate the proceedings. Rehnquist was known for his strong conservatism, having once been labeled Reagan's Mr. Right by Time magazine. Though he maintained a composed and professional demeanor throughout the trial, some critics speculated that his personal views on morality and justice could influence the final outcome. Ultimately, Clinton was acquitted, but the trial remains a controversial chapter in Rehnquist's career, as questions lingered about his impartiality. Number 6. The Bush vs. Gore decision. Rehnquist's most famous and controversial case was Bush vs. Gore, 2000, which effectively decided the outcome of the 2000 presidential election. Rehnquist, along with the conservative majority, halted the recount of votes in Florida, thus awarding the presidency to George W. Bush. The decision sparked outrage across the country, with many accusing the court of partisanship. Critics claimed that Rehnquist's loyalty to the Republican Party had influenced his decision, undermining the court's reputation as an impartial institution. The case remains one of the most polarizing in U.S. history, with Rehnquist's role at the center of the controversy. Number 7. Accusations of racial bias. Throughout his career, Rehnquist faced accusations of racial bias, particularly concerning his opposition to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. His belief in states' rights often clashed with civil rights advocates, leading to further criticism. During his tenure at the Department of Justice in the 1960s, Rehnquist was accused of supporting policies that perpetuated racial discrimination. He vehemently denied these claims, stating, "I have always believed in equal protection under the law." Nevertheless, his judicial philosophy was frequently interpreted as being at odds with the advancement of civil rights, earning him a reputation as a divisive figure on these issues. Number 8. Opposition to LGBTQ+ rights. Rehnquist's stance on LGBTQ+ rights became a major point of contention during his time on the court. In 1986, he voted with the majority in Bowers v. Hardwick, which upheld a Georgia law criminalizing homosexual acts. Rehnquist's reasoning was rooted in his belief that states had the right to regulate morality, but this decision was widely condemned by LGBTQ+ activists and civil rights groups. His opposition to LGBTQ+ rights continued to shape his legacy as a staunch conservative, and the decision would later be overturned by Lawrence v. Texas in 2003. Number 9. Controversial leadership style. As Chief Justice, Rehnquist's leadership style was characterized by strict discipline and a firm adherence to court protocol. His penchant for control earned him the nickname the Lone Ranger among his colleagues, with some justices, like Sandra Day O'Connor, finding his leadership abrasive. However, others praised him for maintaining order during difficult cases, arguing that his strict style helped the court navigate contentious issues. Despite these mixed reviews, his tenure as Chief Justice was marked by internal conflicts, with some accusing him of being too authoritarian in his decision-making. Number 10. Final years and legacy. Diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2004, Rehnquist's health rapidly deteriorated, yet he refused to step down from the bench. His decision to continue serving until his death on September 3, 2005, sparked a national debate about judicial tenure and the responsibilities of justices facing severe illness. Rehnquist passed away at the age of 80, leaving behind a controversial legacy. His influence on the conservative direction of the court remains a subject of intense scrutiny, with many of his rulings continuing to affect American legal and political landscapes today.